Hey guys, Jason here with a word to the wise. I had a interesting weekend. I'm coming to you because it's been a while since I've been hit with something that I really wanted to dig into. I've been feel like I've been spinning my wheels a little bit. So I've been trying to use that time just to, deal with things at home, family, work, a lot of working and family stuff. So it is what it is, and it's all kind of worked out great. I thank the Lord. Praise the Lord. All praise to the Most High in Jesus' name. I like it when Days of Noah says it like that. It's the perfect way to say it. I want to talk about, because of the times that we are in, and I saw an interesting movie by Theology Ed. He does great little videos. He kind of digs into kind of things that are put in front of us that we don't see. What is it? The foretelling. I can't think of the verbiage right now, but it showed a clip from a movie, Knowing, and it had a date, and I don't want to get into that, but it was around this time. And May is always, you see a lot of things from Shaking My Head Productions talking about Beltane and how they are worshiping of the elements. It brings a time in between spring and summer where a bountiful harvest. And of course, they're dancing around maypoles and dancing and chanting with fire and dancing around fire. Very sorceresque, if you will. And I know if you look into a lot of those secret societies, there's the ones that use, that's, symbolized on the back of the dollar bill. But if you go into their temples and lodges, they have that altar with the 5 pointed stars. I don't want to get into that too far. I want to keep on task here, but it has to deal with the elements. And in, say, such things as Freemasonry is the same thing as in witchcraft. And if you watch a couple of those Shaking My Head Productions videos, he shows how even they admit it's their initiation is dealing with the elements: wood, water, wind, fire, and earth, I believe, is one of them. And we can hear that kind of verbiage being spoken about a lot in the word, the elements. So let's just kind of dive right into this a little bit here. And I want to show you something, and it's going to come right back to where this begins. So with 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, everybody knows it pretty well, I believe, by now. And I made myself a bunch of bookmarks, and I'm going to try to go as fast as I can with all these little bookmarks, and I have the scriptures written on them. But I'm going to start here, and I'm going to try to end here. So 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. I'm going to get a little cookie cutter-ish, and I'm sorry. I really like to dive into paragraphs and chapters, and you got to keep in mind what's being spoken in the context, and sometimes you might have to go to a chapter before or after because it carries over. You can tell by the words they use when starting a new chapter. So, verse 3, "Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except for the falling away comes first, that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he, as God, sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God." Now, we hear from that timepiece land, they are constantly talking about, we're hearing it all over the time. Oh, it's going to be built, the third temple, the third temple, the third temple, the third temple. So, if they do that, and they have their belief system of denying the Lord, as waiting on the Messiah still, that he sitteth in the temple of God, as it is written here, so that he, as God, sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. So is he literally going to be sitting in a temple that is of God? Now it begins. So let me keep my bookmark here, and let's hop around. So Acts 7, verse 48. I'll give it a little bit more. But Solomon built him a house. Howbeit the Most High dwelleth not in temples made with hands, as saith the prophet. So there's one verse of this. And I say again, I'm not trying to make cookie cutter verses out of all these things. Acts 17:24. God that made the world and all things therein, seeing that he is Lord of heaven and earth, dwelleth not in temples made with hands. Where is this person in Second Thessalonians sitting? He wants to go and say that he is in the temple of God. Let's go to 2 Corinthians chapter 5. For we know that if our earthly house of this tabernacle were dissolved, we have a building of God, and a house not made with hands, eternal in the heavens. Here again, house not made with hands. And I don't have it here in front of me, which now I'm kicking myself, but I just thought about it. But I got there pretty quick. So 1 Corinthians chapter 3. Know ye not that ye are the temple of God, and that the Spirit of God dwelleth in you? If any man defile the temple of God, him shall God destroy. For the temple of God is holy, which temple ye are. Let no man deceive himself. If any man among you seem to be wise in this world, let him become a fool, that he may be wise. So, we are the temple of God. Let's keep that. Now, I'm trying to paint a picture here of all of these things. So stay with me. So, a house. Now, let's go to Matthew chapter 7, verse 7. And I am at the wrong page. Ask, and it shall be given you. Seek, and ye shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened to you. The door of the house. So, right? Just keeping that kind of verbiage in mind, how many times have you seen this kind of thing? A fool who built his house on sand, but the one who builds his house on a rock. House. A house not made with hands. How many times these kinds of things are spoken of, not dwelling in the house made of hands. So if we're waiting to see the Antichrist literally go and sit in the temple of God, the third temple, might not be that clear cut. So I just want to keep moving along here. Matthew 24. Now this is where we're going to start making our way back. Matthew 24. Which ones am I going here? 15. Speaking of the abomination. When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet standing in the holy place, whosoever readeth, let him understand. That's all I'm going to read about that. Now you go to Daniel. Let's go to Daniel. I don't have a bookmark for that because I thought about it a little late, but I double checked. And the king shall do according to his will, and he shall exalt himself and magnify himself above every god, and speak marvelous things against the God of gods, and shall prosper till the indignation be accomplished, for that is determined shall be done. Neither shall he regard the God of his fathers, nor the desire of women, nor regard any god. He shall magnify himself above all. just as is spoken in 2 Thessalonians. He shall sit in the temple of God. Okay, so, but in his estate shall he honor the God of forces, a God whom his fathers knew not. And they shall honor him with gold and silver and precious stones and pleasant things. A God of forces. Now, if you look into the scriptures in the Hebrew and look at that, I believe it's not forces, but it's more of a fort, like a place of sanctuary. But as it is here, forces, let's look back at those secret societies of the dollar bill pyramid, or witchcraft, sorcery, wind, earth, fire, gravity. They can throw anything out there. So, moving on. Now let's go to Revelation. Keep that. Let's go to Revelation 13. And we are going to start at the second beast. And beheld another beast coming out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and spake as a dragon, saying awful things, I'm sure, about God, as spoken in Daniel, as is spoken in Matthew 24. So I think that these things are kind of linked together. So what is the abomination? Are we waiting for the third temple to be set up and another image of Zeus to be set up in it as in the second temple? No, those things were are set forth as examples of things to come, as said the prophets and I believe Jesus. I'm not exactly sure, I'm paraphrasing, so don't quote me on that. And he exercised the power of the first beast, and caused the earth and them that dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. That's a very interesting way that is causes the earth and them that dwell therein to worship. Definitely sounds like an outside force. And if they're trying to get people to leave atheism and Christianity and in a sense to follow after what they say in these end times and to convince people, how would they do it other than outside forces of this earth, something alien? That's the only way I could see that being somehow done. But how would you have people of the church coming forth and in this kind of manner so powerfully that they to deceive at them that dwell on the earth by means of those miracles which he had the power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them, make an image of the beast which had the wound by the sword and did live. So then it goes into the mark. So I believe that Nicholson 1968 has a great understanding of this, and he's trying to point it out with all the technology that's in and around us. We see it on TV, we see it in movies, commercials, it's in our faces, as you walk around in society, you just see all these new things popping up left, right, and center. So I'm going to read this one last part before I go back. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth, and deceiving them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles. Okay. Now we go right back to where we started. And we'll go to verses 11. Or no, let's go a little higher here. Move my bookmark. Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, with all power and signs and lying wonders, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness to them in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And I just want to read one thing. That they might be saved. And for this cause God shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie, that they all might be damned, who believed in not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. Verse 9 in 2 Thessalonians sounds very similar to the second beast in Revelation 13. You know, both have signs and wonders that they can perform. And they had pleasure in unrighteousness. They weren't beaten down, thrown in concentration camps, and made to either walk the plank. Either you're going to say you're with us or you're without us. If you're not with us, beheaded. So there's got to be something else that comes. You know, you're trying to save the planet, you know, or you're not doing justice. It's unholy what you're doing by not worshiping this person who's so great, you know. So something is coming. Something can happen. How they're going to plan all this to work out in these times, I think we still got a long road ahead of us. I think they still are like this slow-moving machine that just keeps going and going and going, and they just keep doing more and more and more. I think I'm in the midst of watching a Days of Noah video, and he showed while the whole Tucker Carlson and Don Lemon things are going on, Jerry Springer just passed, you know. Sorry to hear about it, but Days of Noah shows what happened is the airports just put the dose program on mandate in some sort of a fashion while everybody was looking the other way. So all they need to do is drop some sort of another, bug situation on the world, and they've already got these things in place because of what we've been dealing with for the last 3 years. And, either you're with the world or you're against us. What's the problem? You got to do these things in love. Don't you love your one another? Love your neighbor. What isn't that in your Bible? How come you're not coming out with love? Because in Daniel 8:25 it says he will deceive many in a sense. I'm paraphrasing. I don't have the Bible here with me, but he will deceive many with love and conquer, in a sense. So how that all plays out, how they're going to use that love and then the pleasure. And look at, I think Many Fish just put a video out, and he was talking about, I think that the 2 witnesses are going to come soon. The 2 witnesses have, I believe, that 1,260 days, or they have a long stint in that 3.5 years. But Apollyon comes and kills them. And they had pleasure in celebrating the death of them and would not allow their bodies to be buried. So in a sense, they've got to start pretty soon. And people are talking, the rapture, we'll be out of here before any of this stuff all happens. I don't think it's going to be that easy. Anything, the Lord, how these things are, very there's a lot of different views. But if people who are beheaded for not taking the mark and denying the image, and they come back in Revelation 20, they weren't raptured. How did they get to where they were beheaded, and that Jesus is going to bring them back first because of their faith until death? How many times I have that Endurance of the Saints in my playlist? It's very eye-opening, and I tried to make that video because a lot of people that say that, we're not going to see trouble. There's trouble being spoken of in Revelations. And I believe you can go into other verses in the New Testament speaking on these things. Look at Daniel 12. It speaks on these things. So I don't want this to go any longer, because if I go over a half an hour, it will... I got to be like a certain member, or I got to sign up or do something else. So I'm going to cut this off. I'm going to try to get all these scriptures in for you guys so you can see them. And like I said, I'm not trying to cookie cutter them and say that I'm right. I'm just trying to show you what the apostles have said. And that's why I love staying in the New Testament, because it's there. Just a word to the wise guys. God bless. Questions, comments, answers for me. Whatever you guys got, I'm open to. So God bless. Thank you very much.